In this veritable melting pot of talent, Chris and Debbie met another key collaborator, Fab Five Freddy.
We have Freddy, the token black.
I met Chris and Debbie working on TV Party. So at the first show, we all met and eventually became really good friends. I was one of those guys that painted on New York City subway trains, as well as the walls, and anywhere else I felt that my name, my signature needed to be, I put it there. I was into the beginnings of, what we now know as hip hop, which was still going on just in the streets of New York and the Bronx.
Blondie, they were one of the first ones to pick up on the rap scene.
Freddy took us up to this event in the Bronx.
It was a big gymnasium, and they would use this place to give rap concerts.
We're the only white people. And
we watched the show. All the things I had explained to Chris was going on in the scene, how these guys are taking these records and doing this scratching thing, and there's this rapping, and there's this attitude, and they kind of got it all, put some seeds in their heads. Chris was a big fan of all types of music, especially black music, and one of the biggest groups at the time was a group called Chic. Chic's Good Times was the hot record that every DJ wanted to scratch. Good times.
As we did on Heart of Glass, when we did our own take on disco, I guess this was a logical thing to get into now, was to do our take on the Chic thing.
We had the melody and we had the riff, but I don't think any of us was conscious like, whoa, we're doing a rap song.
Well, I remember Chris bringing in the idea and not understanding it. I was like aghast. I said, you think we could do this?
We're white guys. How much could we possibly know?
The rap on Rapture got to the point where everything was done except the rap, and we had this elongated section without a rap. So I said, whatever this rap is, now's your chance. This is your moment. Get out there and do it. And I said, okay, hang on, we better write it. So I stood there in about 10 or 15 minutes, wrote this rap, and out she went.
Excuse me.
She said, okay, I got it. I said, you do? Oh, all right. It's a lot of bars. She said, I got it. And she goes out, and she starts rapping away, and all those incredible, eats guitars and eating cars and all that stuff. What was she on that day? I don't know.
Fab Five Freddy told me everybody slide. DJ spinning, I said, my.
That was about me describing what was going on the hip-hop scene to Chris and Debbie when we would hang out and talk. She said, Fab Five Freddy told me everybody's fly. DJ spinning, I said, my. Fly was a word used to describe, if you were part of the hip-hop scene and you had the right style, you were a fly guy or a fly girl, you know what I'm saying?
Flash is fast, Flash is cool.
Flash is fast, Flash is cool. DJ named Grandmaster Flash was known as the fastest DJ because he had perfected this technique of manipulating the beats on the turntables in a seamless fashion. I guess a mainstream audience had a peek of what was about to become this huge movement called hip-hop.
Rapture completed a hat-trick of number ones in only 6 months, and all entirely different, from power pop to reggae to rap. Blondie were quite simply the biggest band in the world.
Blondie is a punk band. It's the very definition of a punk band, but your number one hits don't sound like the typical, quote, punk songs. Were you aware at the time of the seeming conflict, if you will, between image? Blondie, great punk band, but their number one songs run a full course of different kinds of music.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we were intentionally trying to break rules, but we were trying to expand our own experience, and I don't think that we actually were a traditional punk band in that sense. We were trying to be experimental in our way, and we were always sort of developing and sort of reaching out and embracing different styles of music that, we admired and that we liked, and we felt, were sort of a part of our reference. I mean, that's the great thing about New York City, is that, there's always been different styles of music, ethnicities, and, jazz. We've had great influences, and it's always been very expansive, and I think along with the spoken arts and the poets and how all of this has sort of evolved and sort of embraced one another and fed off and bounced off. It's just sort of it's been very exciting. I think that's one of the reasons that people come to New York. That's why I came to New York.